Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Another episode of The Man with Too Many Hobbies and good old Japan. Old things, interesting things. There are many of these things you can find off the beaten track in Japan if you know just where to look. Today I'm going to show you my friend's house. We all know the expression, birds of feather flock together. And this is one example of me living in my old house and a friend, a close associate living nearby in another old house. So I'll show you this one. And it is a beauty. They don't get much better than this. This is I think it's about 105 years old. It's built like a temple, but it's not a temple. It was actually a guest house. It's part of Hosaka-te. The first thing you notice about it is the color. Old buildings, Western countries tend to be painted. They're usually grey or white or cream or something. Old buildings in Japan are always this color. They're kind of very dark brown. And there's a misconception that old houses should be black. Well, they are after 150 years, or they go black, but originally it's just a light wood color. And the sun turns them this color. So they don't paint these things at all. They may put on an insect repellent, a sort of a wood stain, but that's it. And they're usually cedar wood weatherboards on the outside. Just first glance at this, you can tell that this is very, very well made. There's nothing cheap about it at all. Well, look at the roof, copper, low maintenance copper roof, and a huge, huge entrance. This was designed to impress guests. Let's go over to the entrance. So, very grand entrance. A lot of roof there for guests to wait, either to wait for cars or just to be greeted before they go inside. The roof is all copper, all hand beaten. Every single piece is hand beaten and put on. There's an enormous amount of work in making that roof. That little crest thing in the middle there, the four little dots, the four little squares, that's the original crest of the house. That's the symbol for Hosaka. So this is our Hosaka house of Hosaka. The rest of it is tiles, but fancy ones. It does look like a temple. Tiles are of course heavy, but with all the typhoons in Japan, you need a heavy roof, otherwise it'll just blow away.
And you got the same.
Oh yeah, there's the mark on the corner there. The tile roof's actually, in many ways, better than a tin roof because they breathe. They're not actually sealed. It's like that, so the air can go under the roof. So it's not as hot as a big, impressive entrance designed to impress your guests. They would be dropped off here either on a rickshaw or in a car. Early days of a car. It's not really wide enough for a car, so they didn't have cars in mind when they built this. By the way, this huge place here, there is no garage. It was built before cars.
What is this thing?
Oh, that's my car. This is my car, this is my garage. So, big, wide entrance. You leave your getter here, and up we go. Now, I'll just close these just to show you how beautiful the entrance is. How's that for nice paneling? So, beautiful entrance. Unusual enough, there is actually carpet on here, but this is no ordinary carpet. I think this is it's either Egypt or Arabia or somewhere. It is the real thing. The real thing is here. Here's the real thing. I hear that it's not a replica.
So what's this thing?
Japanese warlord armor, suit of armor. I don't know whose armor it was. Anyway, in we go. And it's just beautiful. Beautiful and simple. Japanese luxury is always understated. It's never over the top. You don't get gold or red or white painted things. Everything's quiet and serene, but extremely well made and extremely fine. Traditional Japanese houses, as I've explained before, they have the walkways, the hallways are on the outside of the house. So that you have this double layer. One layer of windows. Always these sliding doors. Nowadays these are always aluminium. At this time they're always wood. I do prefer the wood ones. They're much nicer to look at. Hallways on the outside, but there's also these very long eaves. And if you look down here, there's these little bits here are for another layer of wall, which you put up in winter. So there's a set of doors like that. They're bigger and taller, of course, but they're glass doors which come up to here, come up to the bottom of the eaves. And the idea there is just to keep the snow from going into this part. So in winter you've got a triple layer. You've got the snow layer, the cold air layer, and the interior layer. So not bad insulation, triple layer. It feels warmer when you look out and see the snow through 3 panes of glass rather than looking through 1 pane of glass. The long eaves will also keep the sun out. You don't want the sun going into your house in summer. It's just too hot. Of course, modern houses, they can't do this because they just don't have the land. And so your roof in a modern house will end about there, and you'll have the sun streaming into your house, making the house hot. And so you have to run an air conditioner, and so you're just chasing your own tail, energy-wise. Just more heat, more electricity, just to keep it cool. These houses don't need air conditioners. These days, it's about 35 degrees a day in summer here.
What is this thing?
Oh, this is originally a bath, I think. This is a bathtub. This may have been the original bathtub. It is a bathtub. It would have been the original Hosaka bathtub. I actually prefer my wooden one.
Sure.
One of the beautiful things about this place is the fixtures. It's not just the house itself. A lot of old houses, when they change owners, they go and do stupid things like replace the lights with fluorescent tubes. Not this place. The original lights. Now that is something. The lights themselves are a work of art. These look like pumpkins to me. That's all made of copper. So some craftsman spent months making that. Lights are absolutely beautiful. Here's another one over here. I've seen these in old magazines. This is like this is a 1905 light. So no fluorescent tubes in this place. Here's another one. This one's triple. And this it's either copper that's gone black, or it might actually, no, it'd have to be copper because the white has the white. This is copper. Or maybe brass, but it's gone black. Beautiful fine details. They call this thing the ranma. That's all hand carved. And you can just see how fine that is. I mean, just pure art. But it's not over the top. It's not gold or pink or glittery. It's just dark. But it's very finely cut. So this is the Japanese spirit. Don't overdo it. No gold, no diamonds, no glittery things. Otherwise it starts to turn into a temple. Now, the materials used in this place are something else. At first you don't notice it until you start looking, and then you think, wow, even something as simple as this. At first glance it's just a piece of wood, until you realize that this piece of wood is uncut all the way along. There's no joint, there's no cut. It's one piece of wood, going along the entire length. Now, nobody would do that these days. It would be cut every second meter. Cut, cut, cut. But no, at this time, every single piece of material was scrutinized, and only the best of the best was made. So imagine, how did they get this here? I think they probably had the sawmill in the back garden, and they cut the wood on site. Either that, or to carry something like this here, you would have had to have 10 men carrying it on their shoulder from the sawmill. So here, we'll go to another room here. Again, beautiful round windows, letting in wonderful soft light. I do believe that is a modern light. That one must have escaped them. But that is a fluorescent tube. And as I said, the locker, the hallways on the outside like this. So people don't walk through your room; they walk around it. This house, you think most expensive, extravagant houses in the West are always 2-story, sometimes 3-story. This is actually flat. There is no second story. And the reason for that is, it was considered more luxurious to have a flat house. No need to build it upstairs. It just gets hot upstairs. There's plenty of land anyway. So, but this was originally the guest house, and you can tell because it's unused. In most 100-year-old houses, these bits, over decades of sliding, they wear down, and usually your doors start to go like that because it's worn down in the middle. Not this house. So it's like a beautiful classic car with 10,000 miles on the clock. It hasn't been used. It hasn't been broken. This is the original Wavy Glass. Now this is 105-year-old glass in here. Now look at this glass. Look closely at it. It's wavy and bubbly. It's got a bubble there. So it's all handmade glass. I hear at this time they blow it into a big round cylinder shape, and then they cut it and flatten it out. That was the only way to make it. So it is wavy and wobbly, but that's part of the charm. If it's too perfect, there's no charm. It's like moss. These the floor here is made out of big chunks of, I don't know what it's called in English, but it's keaki. It's like oak. It's a very hard wood, keaki wood. So this place is all oak and copper. Nothing cheap about it anywhere. No cut corners. Oh, by the way, there's no nails either. Everything just slots together perfectly, like Lego bricks. That's probably why it's quite earthquake resistant, is because there's nothing to go snap. Things do move, but they move back again. Another beautiful room with a natural look, shaven post here in the tokonoma. So the wonderful simplicity and the absolute luxury of having space with nothing to clutter it up. This is Japanese minimalism at its best. Today's houses are so small, they're getting smaller, and there's more and more junk every year. Every decade there is just so much crap in the world that people are just living with crap. At this time, if it wasn't absolutely necessary or beautiful, you just didn't put it in your house. And also, of course, being in a wonderful old house like this, it does have a kura, like the other kuras that I've shown you. Anything superfluous just goes into the kura.
And it's a big one.
It's a big one, yeah.
The kitchen is...
The kitchen is actually rather unfortunate. Remember, this was originally a guest house and it was connected to the main house. So people only slept here and the kitchen was in the other house. So to make this house usable, I think about 20 years ago, they built on a kitchen, a completely separate kitchen over here. So a modern, I hate to say it, ghastly kitchen with this abomination in the middle. That's what happens with modern things. It just, if this was my place, that's the first thing that would go. And look at the ceiling. Materials are just not the same. And these will be hollow. It'll probably last about another 10 years. It'll start falling to bits. Curtains, God, why would you want curtains in a kitchen? They're just going to get smelly. Still a nice view. That is a nice view there. Look at that. This is just being used for storage at the moment, but the toilet was quite nifty. Anyway, here's the original toilet.
Wow.
Kind of low, but people were shorter in those days.
Would you like to do a demo?
Well, I think you sort of stand like this and sort of, and but it's very low. You're likely to have an accident, a modern person. If I was refurbishing this, I would put that higher, or put some kind of adapter on here, so that nobody pisses out the window.
Look at the shoes.
The shoes. At this time, people considered toilets to be dirty places, and you'd always have to change your shoes to go in them, even though the floor is clean. It's just a custom in Japan. It's just like no shoes on the tatami, no socks on the tatami. I mean, no shoes on the tatami. Even though sometimes your shoes may be cleaner than some people's bare feet, it's just a custom, a very die-hard custom, and that's the original toilets, squat down toilets. Once you get used to them, they're actually not bad. I mean, what do you do when you go camping in the woods? It's like that. You can't sit there for a long time read the newspaper, of course. In fact, if you had this kind of toilet now, it'd be better. People would not linger in there and look at their smartphones all day. Another wonderful feature of this old house is just the beautiful windows. Beautiful windows. It's just the way the light comes in. So there you go, all handmade. Every single pane put in separately. A lot of time and trouble to make windows like this. Today it's just simple, just make it one sheet. But there's beautiful charm to these old windows. Also have to remember that at this time most people are sitting like this, so they're viewing it at an angle like this. And you can just see, look and drink tea and stare at your courtyard garden. Right, now we've left the other house and we're back at Hosakate, and I'll show you her garden now. So wonderful Japanese garden. Let's have a look. You seldom see concrete paths in Japan in traditional gardens. It's always these stepping stones just to give it the natural look. Now look at that. This is where the moss starts, and I'm actually going to take my getter off because there's nothing like the feeling of walking bare feet on moss. So moss, oh, that feels good. So moss everywhere. That's the corner of Hosaka-san's house. Once again, it's the same kind of design. Well, of course, it's built at the same time. Long eaves, all also here the snow doors go on the outside here, and you never have the sun going into your house. Gazebo. And what do we have here? A pond. So this is, I hear this is only one fraction of the original garden. After the war, the family was forced to sell off all their land. Well, no, it wasn't. It was taken away, and they were left with just a tiny piece of land. So this is just a little piece of the original garden. The Hosaka family, they go back 300 odd years. At their peak, they controlled most of the land between, they owned most of the land between here and Naoetsu, which is just a huge piece of land. So they were landlords. The grandfather was he was sort of semi-famous in this part of Japan. I forget how to say it in English. Hasu, this kind of a plant like that, but
Lily?
Yeah, I think it's lilies. Yeah, he planted all the lilies which can now be seen in the moat of Takara Park. And they originally brought over for food, because you can eat the roots. Lotus plants, lotus root. Well, here we go. Here's the back of Hosaka-san's kura. So you can see now, that's a real kura. It's a double kura. There's two joined together. Huge kura. And that was only one of them. They had half a dozen of these, I hear. So your own bamboo forest. We just saw it from the back. There were two huge. There's one on the left and one on the right. The one on the left is always locked up. It's full of all sorts of goodies. And this is the right kura. Originally a storehouse, but Hosaka-san has converted it into just a nice summer escape place. Now, you won't be able to see this on film, but it was actually the temperatures dropped about 5 degrees just coming in here, maybe more. Kuras are nice, wonderfully cool. It's like a basement or a cave. The walls are so thick, they keep the heat out. So just a wonderful, nice, relaxing space. I'd suggest that Hosaka-san turn this into a games room. I'd like to see a pool table, ping pong, darts. This would be a wonderful recreation room. Okay. It's full of nice things, like this lamp, which I repaired this. This works perfectly well. The other lanterns up here, I repaired those. They work perfectly well. So either a games room, well, she does use it regularly as a meeting room because she has a support team, a staff that help her out during events.
Okay.
So that's the kura. Wonderfully cool. 2
floors.
2 floors, mainly storage up there. But you can see thick. These are also oak. Rock solid roof. Just a very nice space to be in summer. Irashaimase. Dozo agari kudasai. Right, so what you see here is a corridor, but a very nice one. Let's have a look. So walking up this corridor, the first thing you see is the moss garden on the left. A nice little moss garden. And and then we turn right, and there's moss gardens on the right and moss gardens on the left. This is also one of the charms of old Japanese houses. It's never a square box. This is like be like an H shape. This house, H zigzag. It goes all over the place, but it's definitely not a square box. And it has things like this, which are just for appreciation of nature. Just to have a nice place to sit to view the garden. When housing design becomes too logical, it just gets boring. I mean, just a box, and you're stuck in this box. Here it spreads out all over the place. So you go, every room has a different atmosphere. And we go into the main room here. Oh, and here we have a few guests here already. So it's all just laid out just so you can sit down and appreciate the garden. All windows, these would have originally been wooden doors, but she has put in aluminium sash.
This used to be wood instead of this windows.
It would have been wood. There would have been wooden windows. I think she still has them. She just didn't put them in. This kind of system is acceptable. It would have been like this. This I approve of because it is the sash. They put the sash over the top of the original doors, so that just makes it one more layer to make it more weatherproof and to more soundproof and warmer. But you still have the charm of the original doors, and they stuck these things on the outside of the original. She has these doors, so they can be put back in. Let's open up the light here. So there you have it. You sit anywhere, various different angles, all designed just to relax and view the garden. Now Shoji, of course, don't have doorknobs, so how do you open them? Well, they do this. On one section here, the paper is stuck on the other side, so that you can actually get your hand in there and do that. Remember, the proper way to open a door is like this, like that. So the idea of standing up here and doing that is a very Western thing. Nobody does that in Japan. It's very, very quiet and slow. But over here she has her summer shoji. I think I showed you in the other house, there are different shoji for different seasons. And these are the summer ones. So even when they're shut, the air is going through. You can see there, it's just this rattan stuff here. And even how's this nifty? And don't forget, when you're sleeping in a house like this, you're sleeping on a futon with your head down here. And if you want a nice breeze over your head, blowing over you at night time, you just open that up. That's your summer shoji. Oh, be careful. So here we are now in Edo, Japan. Houses were about this big for city dwellers. The recent worldwide interest in tiny houses is something which is not unrelated to something like this. The whole concept for this kind of construction is bare minimalism. I mean, it's just like a little hut, but it's charming. Things don't have to be big to be charming. They can be small and beautiful and charming and cheap, just like a tiny house. This room is for preparation of tea during the tea ceremony. Believe it or not, this is a sink here. This is a traditional sink, right on the floor, and that is a tap. If you don't believe me, look at that. This is where you wash. This is where you wash your cups and things. So, for the perfect tiny house, you don't even have to have a kitchen with a bench up there. It can be like this. So I think. Yeah, that just opens like that. Now, how's that for simple and charming? Hot. Well, here's where they boil the tea. You can actually cook on this. So a stove can be something this simple. You can still cook on it. So if the whole world lived in little houses like this, I think it might actually be a better place. Beautiful small house. I'll show you the mirror. This is part of Hosaka-san's family treasures. This is her mother's mirror. And what a beautiful mirror it is. So this must be 100 years old, but it's absolutely perfect. You see the family crest is completely order-made. Well, the whole thing has Hosaka in it. Hosaka. Cut glass, note the cut edges. This is what they call butt-in lace from Battenberg, Germany. And this part of Japan used to be a production area for this. There were a lot of button lace factories. There's only one now. There's only one place left now in Takada which makes button lace. They have button lace classrooms, so you can learn how to make this. But this has this wonderful 19th century charm. Or if you look at any pre-war picture, you see this sort of thing draped on over the top of tables and pianos and radios. It just gives a nice air of elegance to the place. Absolutely beautiful. Oh, you got to see this thing. Now this is some real antique. It might be for sake, or water, or maybe just water. I'm not sure. You have to ask a Hosaka-san. But it's not the sort of thing you buy out of a catalogue. But kimonos aren't really my thing. But a kimono, like at this level, is a piece of art you can wear. Clothing as art. That's what kimono is all about. Quite impractical, but not absolutely impractical. You can do your daily life in a kimono if you want to. And some people in Tokyo make a statement. I know my old girlfriend is like that. She lives her whole life in kimonos. That's all she wears, and she does the traditional hairstyle. So you see her walking through Tokyo Station like this with the hair way up there and puffed out. It's quite a sight, like a walking work of art. This is Hosaka-san's personal Buddhist altar. Now, I'm not really into these things, but I know whatever it is, it's pretty fantastic. Just the ornamentation is something else. She had trouble. She asked me about how to clean something like this. This is dirty, and so I said, well, give me one part, I'll clean it for you. So I took that part there, and I just cleaned that the other day. And she said, okay, that's fantastic. Now can you clean the whole thing? So now I've got to clean all of these, and get them back to the original gold finish. Now these things I think this has been in the family for hundreds of years. So that is gold. Well, it's not gold. It's gold plate. You know, it's that paper thin gold stuff that they put on things. This is the funny thing about Japan. I was saying, like, the beautiful houses are never over the top. They're simple, understated, dark. But when it comes to anything to do with Bukkyo, it's like Tutankhamun's tomb. It's just gold everywhere, flashy. So I personally, this is too over the top for me. This amount of decoration. Anyway, these can be cleaned. So I'm going to clean these and put them back. So maybe next year you can come back and see these, and they'll be sparkling. What bell? Oh, the dong thing. Gee, that's something else, isn't it? That keeps on ringing. It's still ringing. Have you ever heard a bell that rings that long? Still ringing. Well, that's something else.